Hey guys, what's up? It's Gabe and Pauline, and we're here, Ideal Pauline Podcast. I don't know what number this is. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what? I'm not sure.
But we're up there. We'll just say it's number.
That's a good thing we don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it
is.
means we're having fun when we're doing it.
Exactly.
Sometimes when I'm not forced to be here. I'm joking. I love it here. I'm not hostage. But yeah, we're here to do a very quick podcast for you guys talking about intermittent fasting and like debunking that, right?
Yeah, debunking the intermittent fasting. And I know that people are caught up in the holidays right now. But come January, they're going to be trying to pick a program that will work for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know and I hear it all the time about intermittent fasting.
Right.
I don't know anybody who's really been successful. I have to say that with the intermittent fasting.
Yeah, I remember it was kind of like a fad, I feel like a few years back, and like a lot of people were doing it and a lot of people were talking about it.
Right.
But I don't really know anyone either that has been super successul doing it.
No, and they were talking, and I was reading about it because I always want to bring everybody, the most information.
Right.
That it was huge with Hollywood, and then the influencers on social media caught on to intermittent fasting, and they were kind of promoting it.
Okay.
With other supplements and things. But it did prove interesting when they did intermittent fasting with mice. It was looking promising.
Okay.
So Dr. Weiss from University of California back in 2018 did a study with humans. And I believe there was 116 people in the study. And I don't know why studies they do that. Like, why not 115 people? Why that?
That
They're
odd
always
number?
weird, odd numbers. But
Yeah.
anyway, 116 people over a 12-week period on
Okay.
intermittent fasting where they just ate for those 8 hours.
Uh-huh.
And over 12 weeks, the average was 2 pounds.
A week.
Lost, yes.
Oh, and
in the 12-week
in the whole
period.
12-week period, only 2 pounds.
Right. So he doesn't believe it converted too well into humans. And there was also, they had said there was a little bit of muscle loss also
Right.
within the 116 people.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. Like, if you're doing, an intermittent fasting, essentially, you're just narrowing the window of what you're eating. But
Exactly.
essentially, the reason you're losing weight is simply just because you're in a caloric deficit. Does it have anything to do with like the hours that you're eating, or will your body go into a ketosis?
It will go into a ketosis.
It claims.
Right.
Yeah.
That it will. And it will to a degree.
Uh-huh.
But my whole thing, too, with intermittent fasting, when I talk to people, what do they eat in those 8 hours? It's the same thing I always say about like a Weight Watchers, right? The 26 points, if you're allowed 26
Right.
points, 26 points of lean protein and vegetables is completely different than 26 points of wine and pizza.
Absolutely.
So in that 8 hours, it depends on what you're eating. I mean, people think that in that 8 hours, and I've heard people say this to me, they can pretty much eat whatever they want.
Uh-huh.
That can't be right or
No,
true.
because let's say, you have person A that is doing a 8-hour window of eating, and they're eating foods loaded in carbs and sugars and, let's say they're doing like pizza and breads and sandwiches. But then you have person B that's doing lean protein and vegetables with a little bit of carbs in that 8 hours. You'll probably expect person B, even though they're on the same exact window of eating, to lose more than person A. Because what they're putting into their body is so different than what person A is putting into their body.
Exactly. And the other thing is that the research, not even just Ideal Protein, tells you how much protein you need to maintain muscle during weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always a key factor.
Right.
So this is what people need to consider when they're thinking about the program that they want to do for weight loss.
Right.
And I can tell you, Gabe, and you hear me say it all the time, I haven't found any program better than Ideal Protein.
No, I agree.
And I challenge anybody to come up with a different program.
No, I mean from firsthand experience, I did the program, and for those of you that have like been following along, know me from the office, know me from the podcast, social media, whatever, I lost over 80 pounds with the program. But not only did I lose with the program, it gave me the tools that I need to keep it off and change my lifestyle and
It
how
is a
I view
lifestyle change,
and how I
yes.
view food and how I view eating and what it does for me. And for me now, I'm not just eating to eat. I'm eating foods that fuel me and fuel my body.
Right.
Because that's what's key, is finding foods that fuel you in your everyday, right? Food is medicine. I mean, that's what Dr. Tran says. And
Food
that's
is medicine.
one of our key pillars, I guess, if you will, of Ideal Protein. And if I learned anything while being here, it's, every calorie is different. Calories aren't the same in foods, and foods have properties that'll do different things for you. So now that I'm in a maintenance phase, I know that, 1,000 calories of lean protein and vegetables is going to do much more for me and help me sustain than 1,000 calories of processed sugar, sweets, ice creams, and chocolate.
Absolutely.
And alcohol.
Right. And and to me, what does that matter if you're eating it within an 8-hour window or
No, I
more?
agree.
And how do you sustain 8-hour window in life? Right? Suppose you have a wedding. You're going to say that 8 o'clock at night you need to stop eating.
Right.
Can you push that to maybe 3 and 10?
Like, can you change it on a daily
Right.
basis, or does it have to be that same window every day?
Right.
I
So
wonder.
these are factors that,
Right.
just to me aren't sustainable.
Yeah.
So anybody looking, to read that study, it's Dr. Weiss from the University of California. I wanted to bring up too, because we had a client in today talking about somebody who in her family who had gastric bypass. And what did they tell us?
That the weight was not, they were not able to keep off the weight.
Right. And how sad is that?
Yeah. I mean, just from being here, we have so many clients that, come in and either know people or personally have had gastric bypass.
Right. And couldn't keep it off.
Right.
So, these are things that I want people to think about before they jump into a weight loss program.
Right.
But we're always here to answer questions, and anybody is welcome to come in and for a free consultation, no obligation, where we can explain how the program works and why it works.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. And stop with that weight, that WW. I'll always say it. You're going to lose muscle. It's not. That's another thing that's not. And all these other Jenny Craig's, Nutrisystem, they're pre-packaged Weight Watchers. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then let me ask you this. Like, what do you say to people that say, or I mean, I know what I would say to people that ask me this question, but what do you say to people that say, oh, during phase 1 of Ideal Protein, you're also eating packaged foods? What's the difference between our food versus the food of a competitor?
It's not a food heavy with sugars and carbohydrates. It's a highly absorbable protein. And that's why those supplements are important, so that you maintain muscle mass during weight loss.
Right.
Their Weight Watchers is maybe taking a breakfast sandwich and packaging up as a Weight Watchers with the allotted points that you're allowed. And it's not giving you a highly absorbable protein to maintain muscle.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
That's
I
the key
think,
difference.
and also not to mention, a lot of these programs, they don't necessarily have a maintenance phase. So when you're done eating the Jenny Craig food, when that freezer or the cabinet is empty, from your other diet food, what do you eat? You don't know what to eat because they don't show you what to eat.
Exactly. And people say that you learn portion control. You don't, because that portion control, you're hungry. 9 out of 10 times you're eating that, maybe let's say 8 or 10 points or 14 points of a meal. You're hungry because you're not stopping the secretion of insulin, which is key. And that's what I would love to explain. And we need to do videos and podcasts just based on that.
Right.
Alone, and how your body resets your pancreas. Because that's key.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest difference about a prepackaged.
Thanks.
We're supplementing protein. They're just supplementing a meal.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Ding, ding, ding.
Exactly.
We got a winner.
So I think this was important to hop on, and I think our next podcast should be about this again.
Yeah.
We'll
I
take on
agree.
the dieting culture.
Yeah, and the fads, and what people believe is true, not true, what's simply marketing. I mean, we talk about it all the time in the office, but food companies are brilliant at marketing.
Brilliant.
What looks like a healthy food is not necessarily a healthy food.
Well, look at what we were talking about, and I say this all the time. A friend of mine was asking me about a certain wine with no added sugar, and right? And I said their marketing is brilliant because what I found out is that they cannot label it with sugars and carbs. They don't put a nutritional label
on wine.
Excuse me.
I think on any alcohol product they don't,
No,
right?
they
like
don't.
vodka, none of it has.
Right. So there's natural sugars in it, but they're saying they don't put the sugars in. But how many grams of sugar is it?
Right.
In between the bottles.
Right.
So there's no way of knowing that. So the marketing to me is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. No, I think those are all great things to talk about and kind of debunk and help people navigate, help ourselves navigate.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, because January is such a great time to kind of start your health journey.
Absolutely. And we have to just turn things up and debunk everything.
And I know it's cliche, but it is like a new year and it's a new leaf, a new chapter. And, whether you had a great 2021 or a shitty 2021, 2022 or the following year is a great way to kind of start fresh and start new and push for those things that you weren't able to attain the following year.
Absolutely. And also the whole thing about, and I hate to bring up the whole COVID, why aren't we talking about weight loss? Because most people that had a problem with COVID were obese.
Yeah.
So let's get healthy.
Right.
Let's get healthy.
That's the best gift you can give someone.
Absolutely. So thank you, Gabe. I think it was informative and we'll do it again.
Oh, thanks, P.
All right. Bye.
Ciao.